Hey everyone, NHL News Sports. Welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about top prospects from 2015 for all 30 NHL teams, and where are they now? Could they be in the KHL? Could they have been traded away from the original team? Could they be a bust? What could they be? Literally. Well, going back to KHL is kind of being a bust, right? Right, so let's get into where are these players now and how good are they, right? So, of course, Vegas isn't in here. They came in 2017. We're talking about 2015. And 2021 is cracking. They're not on this list either, right? So, let's start off with the Montreal Canadiens. Actually, let's start off with Anaheim. I'm going to go in alphabetical order, but this is not alphabetical order, so for me, for my hockey news magazine, it's a little bit easier to do that. To go by alphabetical order, but not on the board here. So let's start off with the Ducks here. The Ducks had Nick Ritchie. Now, Nick Ritchie is a solid, he's a sandpaper type of guy. He had talent. He definitely had talent. Last year he got traded to Boston. But, it was okay the other year. I think it was a year and a half ago. And then last year he had a really solid breakout season. What the Ducks wanted, but just never turned out to anything. And then the Bruins didn't qualify him, and the Leafs picked him up. So they got a guy that can help in that bottom six role for sure. And he's a good gritty player, and the Leafs need that. And it's going to work out for them perfectly. So, Nick Ritchie goes to the Ducks. Was from the Ducks, but now is with the Leafs. So, he's still a useful player. Last year, breakout season. Good to see. But we'll see how things turn out. Moving on to now the Arizona Coyotes. And the next one. Ooh, interesting one, isn't it? Max Domi is a guy who was traded for Alex Galchenyuk a couple years after him being drafted by the Coyotes a couple years after playing, 1 or 2 years with Coyotes. It did not work out very much, so Coyotes were told, oh, that's a slam dunk for Coyotes to get Alex Galchenyuk. Max Domi to Montreal. Montreal loses that, whatever. Montreal got 72 points out of Max Domi that year. Crushed it. Galchenyuk was solid, but they tried at the center again. Center didn't work for him again. Back on the wing, and things just didn't work out there. So guess what? Montreal won that. They lose to a player here, which I don't know if Max Domi would have thrived as much. Of course, 2 years in Montreal, and then went to Columbus, and he hasn't been the best in Columbus. It's been tough this year for him. But we'll see what next year brings. Beginning of the season, he's supposed to be out with a surgery, with an injury right now. Should be back, not the beginning of the season, but we'll see what happens, right? But Max Domi is definitely talented center. He wants to be a center. We'll see how things turn out. Interesting one here for Boston. Let's go on to Boston. Goaltender Malcolm Subban. Now, Malcolm Subban, his first game wasn't the prettiest of games because he let 6 goals against the Blues, and that was the only game he played with Boston. Played 3-4 years, I believe, with the Providence Bruins in the AHL, but really didn't get a chance until Vegas came in 2017. They came, used him, played solid. Fleury and Subban was the goalie duo, and that worked out really solid having Malcolm Subban. But the year after kept going. He was okay, and then Chicago picked him up. But Subban was, he was okay with. He was actually not bad last year with Chicago. But now having Fleury and Lankinen for Chicago, Subban doesn't really fit there right now. So AHL Rockford Ice Dogs. Unless someone picks him off waivers, but I don't know. We'll see. Moving on now to the Sabres. This is a tough one for Sabres fans at this point. Not because he wasn't a good player. Just, you'll see what I mean. Alright, Buffalo Sabres. And that's Sam Reinhart. He was such a consistent player for the Buffalo Sabres, 26-year-old. Got traded to the Panthers for 2 seconds and Devin Levi, the young goalie. So we'll see that young Canadian goalie. I know Buffalo could use a goalie, but I know people are hoping for more. Buffalo will get. But, you know, Sam Reinhart's a fantastic player. Very consistent, very solid. Played down the middle this year. Very, very good. But it is disappointing for Sabres not to be able to keep him because he didn't want to stay anymore. Moving on to the Flames. Here was another one, interesting one. Another guy who finds himself at the Panthers now, Sam Bennett. Now, Sam Bennett, with the Flames, he's okay during the regular season. Really saw in the playoffs, but in a short time in the playoffs, in the first rounds. But you look at Sam Bennett. He got traded at the deadline last year. He played lights out with the Panthers, but does he continue being lights out like that? That's the question. Does it dip down? I'm sure it's gonna dip down a little, right? But we'll see how much it does dip down because Sam Bennett isn't a guy who's a solid regular season performer really much at all, right? But we'll see what Sam Bennett brings. Next year for the Panthers, be really interesting how that turns out, how consistent he can be next year in the regular season. Moving on to the Carolina Hurricanes, and next we have Hayden Floyd. Now, Hayden Floyd, it took him a while to really get into the NHL. 2 years ago, he was solid. But he had a breakout season. He had a bust label on him, literally. Like, oh, this guy's a bust. That year came out, take out that bust label, played fantastic. Really solid. But the year after, last year we had, not very good. Got traded to the Ducks and then was selected by the Seattle Kraken. So we'll see how that turns out. Of course, Hayden Floyd's going to play with Cale Floyd, potentially. That's a good pickup, isn't it? So we'll see how that turns out, for sure. But Hayden Floyd isn't going to be an offensive guy from the point. He is solid, but we'll see what the Kraken can do with him, for sure. Moving on now to the Blackhawks. Here we go. Teuvo Teravainen now. The Carolina Hurricanes picked him up. 4-5 years ago. Teuvo Teravainen's a very solid player for the Canes now. Very solid. Plays on the wing mostly. Can shoot the puck. Top 6 guy. Very underrated for the Canes. I still feel like he is an underrated NHL. Very talented guy. And, the Blackhawks moved him around. And, yeah. But he's very solid. That's a great pickup. But the Hawks traded him. Other guys they traded. Ryan Hartman, Nick Schmaltz, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Gustus Forsling, Philippe Deneau. Well, some guys out here. Some solid players, but they didn't stay with the Hawks. They traded them away. You can kind of see the Hawks getting top heavy there. How things would work out. And that's what happened. So Teuvo Teravainen, part of the Canes, very successful there for sure. Moving on to now the Colorado Avalanche. This is kind of a disappointing one for sure. And that's Chris Begris. Chris Begris is still trying to get himself to the NHL under the Colorado system. That hasn't really worked out whatsoever. Still trying to fight for a job. But right now, Colorado's a stacked team. I know kind of they lost some players this year. Donskoy, Grubauer, guys like that. But Begris never really got himself where he is. This wasn't a very good prospect pool for the Colorado Avalanche. They had Pickard, Bleakley, nope, didn't work out. Looking at the other ones, Spencer Martin, no. Will Butcher, who was with the Devils, literally now with the Sabres. That one's okay. So the Avalanche didn't have much of a good prospect pool for sure. Moving on now to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Sonny Milano. Now, Sonny Milano's a left winger. He has talent. He was doing solid, and he wasn't doing very well. The Blue Jackets didn't like him. They traded him to the Ducks. And the Ducks, he started doing really well, and then he kind of dropped off again this year. So, he's a very up and down. Does things work out? Who knows? He's very up and down type of guy. He's okay. Bottom six is where you would see Sonny Milano. Moving on to now the Stars. Urias Hunka. Now, Urias Hunka is still trying to battle for an NHL job. He's up and down. 2 years ago, he didn't get a contract. He wanted to leave Dallas, and finally the next year he came and signed with Dallas. But it just hasn't worked with Urias Hunka with the Stars. Hopefully he can find a different NHL job, but no one wants him at this point, unfortunately, But we'll see what happens for sure. Moving on now. The next team we have is the Detroit Red Wings. Okay, here we go. Anthony Mantha, a big, top six guy for the Wings for so many already for a good amount of seasons. Very solid, big guy. Power forward, of course, he got traded at the deadline to the Caps for Jacob Vrana in a first and a second, which is the absolute winner for the Detroit Red Wings. But this guy is big. He's been up and down, but he's a solid body, and when he can start to score, he can score. He's a solid player, power forward, and he's a guy you want on your team for the top six to really bring some body to him for sure. He is tall. Very good, solid player, absolutely. Other guys were Dylan Larkin, Ouellette, let's see, any other, Peter Mrazek was Tyler Patuzzi, Marchenko, some other guys, notable guys out there for sure. Moving on to now, the Oilers. It's a no-brainer, it's a slam dunk here for the Oilers. Here we go. Leon Draisaitl. Now, Leon Draisaitl is a fantastic center. Absolutely fantastic, right, for the Oilers at this point. It's just such an incredible... He's one of the top 5. Probably even less than that in the NHL as a center. Absolutely. He's one of the best in the league right now. So, Leon Draisaitl and McDavid, fantastic. This is a fantastic pick. All the guys you have is Darnell Nurse, Léa Boussois, Jujhar Khaira, Slepyshev, and William Lakinson. So some guys to think about for sure. Moving on to the Panthers and who they had. Oh, here we go for the Panthers. Next is Mike Matheson. Mike Matheson he was a solid defenseman. He's on that massive 8-year contract. That really, stings them because that's a lot of money to pay for a guy like him. And they found a place for him to go. And that's Pittsburgh. They traded him to Pittsburgh for Patrick Hornquist, which was a fantastic pick for the Panthers to get rid of that contract, that term. And things just didn't work out with him. So that's how things gone for Mike Matheson. But he's, without that long-term contract there, I think, he won't get as much hate for that. But other guys, Petrovic, Harlock, Welcome Komodi, Zach Hyman was also there too. So some guys to think about. Moving on now to the Kings. Next for the Kings have Adrian Kempe. Adrian Kempe is a solid top 9 guy. Plays left wing, center, whatever you want. Plays really solid. That's when they had that really good solid. You have 2012, 2014, win the cup. 2015. You don't have as many solid prospects because you win the cup, you get to the finals or conference finals. with a solid regular season team, gonna get low in the draft order, right? So they're not gonna get as much. But some guys you had is Asian Kempe, Zikar, Forbort, Colin Miller, Graffel, and yeah, those are some guys to think about for sure. Moving on now to Minnesota. This is a really good pick, but unfortunately, they don't have him still. And that's Alex Tuck. Now, Alex Tuck is a terrific power forward. He's terrific. What he does in Vegas. And this is a guy I'm sure Minnesota misses. You know, expansion draft, you think of Vegas. Two options. Either Alex Tuck leaves or Matt Dumper. Which one would you keep? And obviously, they get Dumper and they sent to the. Of course, they sent to Vegas Alex Tuck. Which, not the best idea to do that because Alex Tuck is a solid player, like I said, and he has lit it up. With Vegas, of course, he has an injury. He's going to be out for like 6 months. But besides that, fantastic. Power forward. Absolutely. He's on a long-term contract, 4.75 or something. As a bargain. Fantastic player. Other guys, Matt Dumper, Gusset Olferson, Luz Delpino, Carson Soucy's with the Kraken now. Yeah. Moving on to Montreal. Jacob De La Rose. Now this is an interesting one. Montreal was more of a team make the playoffs, Carey Price helped them make the playoffs. You had Radulov. Well, not yet Radulov. My bad. Pacioretty, Dione. David Dione. You had Gallagher. Well, you still have Gallagher. You have guys like that. Thomas Blakanich, Subban, Markov, Mielin, people like that, right? Players like that, which kept your team afloat, playoffs. You don't get as much as you want. Jacob De La Rose was a solid, kind of like that two-way center. Really hasn't turned out with Montreal. Got put on waivers by Montreal, and Detroit picked him up on waivers, and then Detroit swapped Jacob De La Rose to the Blues for Robbie Fabry. So that's how things have gone. De La Rose has found himself in and out of the lineup. Really hasn't found himself much. Some other guys, interesting enough. Nikita Sherbak, Zach Fucali, Trinoli, McCarron. Guys who have not worked out. Andrew Ghetto, nope. Houdon, nope. Colden, Michael Cotton there, hasn't. The only one that has worked out, Tui Lehkonen. Top 10. Number 10. So very interesting about that, isn't it? Great penalty killer is Lehkonen. Really hard worker. Moving on now to the Predators. Kevin Fiala. Now, Kevin Fiala is a fantastic player for, was with the Predators. You know, he was okay with the Predators. They traded him, Fiala, for Granlund. Everyone's like, oh no, what is the Wild doing? But Fiala lit it up with the Wild. Terrific player. Trying to get a contract here because he's a solid player for sure. Can shoot the puck. Can do all those things. That's exactly what the Wild like him for. And he's a solid player. He just blossomed with the Wild. Coming off is another guy, Colton Sissons, Jimmy Vesey, UC Salvo's not bad there, very solid goalie there. Austin Watson with the Ottawa Senators now. Those are the guys to mention. Moving on to now the Devils. Let's see, where's the Devils? Can't see them on the board now. Oh, there we go. Did I spell that right? No, I didn't. Hold on a sec. Here we go. Steve Santini. He has not really worked out whatsoever. Things have not worked out with him whatsoever. So yeah, that's how things have gone so far. Nothing with him, really. Hasn't really made a roster spot at all, whatsoever. You also have John Quinville. Let's see who else you have. No, Blake Coleman, number 10. Very solid deal. Just signed that massive $4.9 million contract with Calgary. 2-time Stanley Cup with the Lightning. That's one right there for all of you. Moving on to now the Islanders. Oh wait, I didn't spell that right. Michael DeCole. DeLaCole there. Michael DeLaCole hasn't really turned out much yet. Really hasn't trying to get himself to the NHL level. Hasn't worked out at this moment. I don't know if you give him one more year this year to just say, do what you can, get there. If not, officially you're a bust, right? I just don't know. Griffin Reinhart was the other one. He's the bust. Ryan Pollock, terrific defenseman, top pairing defenseman of Pellick. Fantastic there. Scott Mayfield, terrific. Shirokin, terrific goalie. Adam Pellick, like I said, terrific shutdown defenseman. Josh Hosang, who even knows about him? Actually, he just signed a PTO contract with the Leafs, so we'll see how that turns out. The Leafs trying to give him a chance here at this point. Moving on to the Rangers. Interesting one here. Anthony Duclair. Now, Anthony Duclair really hasn't been known as a Ranger whatsoever, right? He was traded to the Coyotes. From that, he went to Chicago. From that, Columbus he signed because no one wanted to sign him. He went to Columbus because he played too awful with the Hawks. Injury that year, just too awful. So he went to the Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets traded him to at the trade deadline. So they can pick up Mac Duchene. Duclair goes to the Sens, really solid there. And then the Sens didn't sign him. I was surprised. And now the Panthers have him, and they re-signed him. So Panthers have him right now. Anthony Duclair, solid. Just try to find the right fit, right? What works out. Other guys, Pavel Buchnevich just got traded to the Blues this offseason. I don't really care for that one for the Rangers' perspective whatsoever. Brady Shea, he's now with the Carolina Hurricanes. Igor Shesterkin, number one goalie for the Rangers. Ryan Graves was one of them. He got traded to, signed with the Avalanche and now with the Devils. Yeah. Moving on now to the Ottawa Senators. Let's see what's Ottawa. Ooh, Nick Paul, great player offensively. I mean, just work ethic, fantastic. Great on the penalty kill. Nick Paul I do like a lot. I thought Senators would pick up Nick Paul, but they did not. Not the Senators. The Kraken, I thought they were going to pick him up, but they did not. Terrific player. Last year, absolutely did a terrific job. Another guy you have, Matt Pupil. That didn't work out. Chris Weidman, he didn't work out with Montreal next year for 1 year. No one else. So Ottawa didn't have a very solid prospect pool up to this time. Moving on now to the Flyers. Samuel Morin, he's right now still with the Flyers, but he can't hold a roster spot on defense. He just hasn't been able to hold it on defense whatsoever. Just hasn't worked out. If he can try to hold himself, but now more than ever, he can't really. You have a really solid top defense now. You have Ellis, you have Yandel now, Ristolainen, Provorov, Sanheim. You have those guys. You have Zamula. You have Cam York. I don't see where Morin really fits in at all. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it happens. Another guy, Sanheim. Like I said, Shane Gostisbehere, he got traded to the Coyotes. They had to give up like a second and third round pick to get rid of that contract. Robert Hagg, he got traded to the Sabres for Ristolainen and that first round pick. Storlos, they got another guy. Orbe Kubel, solid bottom six player. Oscar Lindblom, solid there. Mark Friedman, he's with the Penguins now. So not bad there. But Samuel Morin has not turned out to anything. Moving on to the Penguins. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Derek Pouliot. Derek Pouliot really hasn't turned out to be a solid defenseman whatsoever with the Penguins. I think he also showed the Canucks. Really hasn't worked out. From the 2012 draft, nothing has worked out in the 2012 draft. Only a few in the top 15 I'm talking about. After the top 15, you have some guys, Anthony Ciu, Andre Vasilevsky, you have some other guys. Like, wow, if you only know, right? Literally. But Derek Pouliot hasn't turned out to anything. Other guys, Kasperi Kapanen, solid. He was with the Leafs, now back to the Penguins. Brian Dumoulin, solid top 4 defenseman for the Penguins. Scott Harrington with the Blue Jackets. Matt Murray, 2 cups of the Penguins. Joey, current goalie. Sundqvist, he's with the Blues. Solid option there. Brian Rust, solid winger. And then Teddy Blucher, solid center for the Penguins for sure. Teddy Blucher I really do like. Moving on now to the Blues. Next is Robbie Fabry. Robbie Fabry just, he was a talented player for sure. I really showed that. But then just injuries upon injury upon injury. It was like 1-2 years. He was out of his knee. Just destroyed his career. And I'm like, that's too bad. Because I knew he had some offensive ability here. And things just... 2019 finals, he got back. In those playoffs, it finally... And then the Red Wings picked him up for Jacob De La Rose. And he played really solid, Robbie Fabry. So I'm glad he is. Because he really does deserve it for sure. Moving on to the Sharks. Nikolai Goldobin really hasn't... he didn't really do anything with the... the Sharks. Hold on a sec. There we go. Right now, he's in the Canucks prospect system. But Goldobin's solid. He is, he's solid. Maybe bottom 6 option, 4th liner at this moment. He doesn't really bring anything at this point. You wish he would, but he hasn't really turned out to be the guy as number 1 prospect for a team, right? Other guys, Christiani, Sean Corrali. Let's see who else. That's about it for the Sharks. Moving on to the Lightning. I'm just going to put Andre Vasilevsky, number 1. Fantastic goalie. Absolutely. One of the best goalies in the NHL. It's got to be one of the best Russians ever. As a goalie in NHL history. One of the best Russians as a goalie. Absolutely. You also have Anthony DeAngelo. Got traded to the Coyotes, Rangers. That didn't work out now with the Hurricanes. Domestikov. He was solid until he got traded away. Adam Ernie, solid the Rings right now. Last year broke out like that a lot. Cuckoo, he's with the Oilers now. Let's see. And Braden Point, top 10 at number 10. What a steal there. As Braden Point, absolutely. Moving on to now the Leafs. Here we go. William Nylander. William Nylander is a terrific top 6 winger, people criticize him, but he's solid, he is. William Nylander, you also have Braden Lysak, Connor Brown, you have Freddie Gauthier, Levo, Andreas Johansson, those are guys to think about. Moving on to now the Canucks. Jake Virtanen. Now, Jake Virtanen, right winger, just got bought out from a contract. Things just did not work out with him whatsoever, unfortunately. Just problems with him and the Canucks, and just didn't work out there. Thatcher Demko, another one. Jacob Markstrom. I watched that Demko's his first AHL season with the Utica Comets. He wasn't, he was he let like 4 or 5 goals in, but I'm like, this guy's big. And I'm like, to this day, he's a big goalie. That's Shudenko, Jay McCann, Hunter Shinkook, Adam Clendenning, and that's about it. But, yeah. Moving on to the last two that we have, and that's the Capitals. Here we go. Madison Downey, now he was supposed to be a solid, a big shutdown guy, and he showed that with the Capitals. It didn't really turn out much, and then got traded to the Rings. Okay, I think he played with the Hawks a little too. So third pairing guy, thought he would do more. Has not. Other guys: Jacob Verana, Connor Carrick, Philip Grubauer, Stevenson, Vitek Vanacek, Zach Sanford, and Phoenix Copley. So some guys to think about. And the last one is for the Winnipeg Jets. Nikolai Ehlers, what a terrific top 6 winger this guy is. This guy can shoot the puck. Fantastic, isn't he? He's a guy everyone would love on his team. You also have Josh Morrissey, Yoel Amir, who's from Montreal now, Nick Batan, Connor Hellebuyck, one of the best goalies in the world, Brendan Lemieux, Il Conway, Andrew Kopp, fantastic. There's some good solid players there, absolutely. Some of these are solid pickups, and some of these are, who are they? Oh yeah, they're gone. Oh, okay, they'll bust. But some of them are really solid. Some of them been traded, moved on, and some of them still here. So like Nikolai Ehlers. And why would you trade him? You know what I mean? Why would you trade that guy? William Nylander, same thing. Vasilevsky, same thing. You wouldn't probably trade Sam Reinhart if he didn't want to. If he would stay with Buffalo, he would love to. If he would love to stay with Buffalo, Sabres gonna sign him, right? But he didn't want to stay there. So, thank you for watching. St. Shark News Sports. Oh, also, Draisaitl, fantastic. Thank you for watching. Let's try to hit 500 subs. Like a 30-minute video. But I'll see you next video. Bye.